All right, let's dive right into this explainer and demystify what Level 3 supply chain security actually means for your daily business operations. Now, if you're operating within a modern supply chain, you've definitely heard this term thrown around, and it's usually accompanied by the sense of, impending doom or serious budget anxiety. But today we're going to break down the source material to show you exactly what's required and honestly, more importantly, what isn't.
So does better security just mean buying expensive tools? A lot of business owners feel totally overwhelmed, assuming that compliance means they have to go out and buy these high-tech automated products. But let's challenge that assumption right out of the gate. There is this really pervasive myth out there that tightening your security posture automatically means you have to sign these massive contracts for complex software suites. Well, the source material reveals a very different reality. We're going to strip away the sales pitches here and reveal the true operational core of security.
Section 1. The Level 3 Baseline. The Basic Standard.
The absolutely crucial point here is understanding what the government and the law actually expect from you. Look, Level 3 is not some advanced, futuristic tier reserved for massive tech conglomerates. In fact, the source text explicitly calls it the basic standard. It's simply the absolute minimum baseline of responsibility required to operate as a legally recognized organization. When the government grants your organization corporate personhood, which is basically giving your business the legal rights of a person, it comes with the expectation that you're going to behave responsibly. Meeting this Level 3 standard isn't some optional upgrade, it's literally the fundamental cost of doing business in a connected world. Honestly, it's just expected that you basically handle these things as a matter of normal operations.
Moving on to Section 2, the alcohol check analogy, daily logging.
Okay, I know this might sound a bit crazy at first, but network security is exactly like the mandatory daily alcohol checks and ledgers required for commercial drivers. Think about logistics for a second. Drivers of company vehicles have to take a breathalyzer test before work, and the company is required to log that result every single day. The source draws a direct parallel here. Securing your supply chain network is exactly like that daily alcohol check. It is entirely focused on logging and management. Are you checking who is entering the network, and are you keeping a reliable ledger of that activity? Because at the end of the day, that is the core requirement.
Section 3. Automation versus manual work, keeping records.
Get ready for a truly surprising revelation. You can actually fulfill these security requirements manually, yes, even by writing logs by hand. The source is incredibly explicit about this. You are absolutely not forced to buy another company's product to achieve Level 3 security. No way. If you really wanted to, you could literally manage your access records with a physical pen and paper, keeping a handwritten management ledger. As long as those records are accurately taken and maintained, boom, the basic requirement is met. The actual security lies in the act of records keeping itself, not in whatever fancy medium you use to keep it. And this brings us to a huge paradigm shift. Now, vendors are obviously going to suggest you buy their products. But as the source points out, that automation, it simply makes the record keeping easier. Buying a tool absolutely does not replace the active responsibility of managing it. If you go out and buy a sophisticated piece of logging software, but no one on your team ever actually reviews the logs or checks if it's running properly, well, you aren't secure. You just bought really expensive shelfware. The software is just a convenience. It's the active daily management that provides the actual security.
So, what does this operational management actually look like in practice? Well, true security management means taking really basic, practical actions. The source highlights things like physically turning off the power when equipment isn't being used, or completely disconnecting the network outside of official working hours. In fact, it ties this directly into labor laws, which is fascinating. Think about it. If your official working hours end at 6 p.m. and you're properly following labor standards, then theoretically, your network shouldn't even need to be accessible at 2 a.m., right? Simply cutting access outside of working hours is a highly effective, totally manual security measure. It proves to evaluators that you are actively managing your environment.
Section 4. Beyond simple passwords, identity verification.
Look, relying solely on a password is like leaving your front door wide open while you go on vacation. The source is crystal clear on this. If you only use a password and anyone who guesses it can get in, the moment that password is hacked, it is game over. You're out. That is exactly why requiring a secondary individual identification method, like a smartphone app or an IoT device, is the absolute essential standard now. You have to have two-step verification. It's no longer just about knowing a secret word, it's about verifying that the specific authorized individual is actually the one holding the device and requesting access. Ultimately, when it comes to evaluating your security posture, it's not about checking a box that says you purchased a specific vendor's fancy new product. It is entirely about whether you have properly configured the settings to verify exactly who is logging in and whether you actually have the discipline to check those logs. Are you verifying individual identities through secondary devices? Are you actively controlling the hours your network is even alive? Because that active, continuous verification is what Level 3 supply chain security genuinely demands from us.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a critical question. This is to ensure your company isn't just throwing money at a problem, but is actually taking true corporate responsibility. Take a hard look at your own operations today. Are you just buying security products and hoping they do the heavy lifting for you? Or are you actively managing the processes, keeping the ledgers and verifying those identities? Remember, true security isn't bought, it's practiced.